my crafty plants. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. It is almost 2025, and that means it is time to set my 2025 annual goals. But before I do that, before I start that process, what I have to do is work through the MakseLife Annual Reflections Notebook. This notebook right here, it was the free gift with purchase basically since the launch happens. They also sell it, and there's also a digital version as well. This one is actually completely blank. I've not used it because I actually decided to use the digital version of the notebook this year. So I bought a new iPad and Apple Pencil on Black Friday this year, and I've been playing around a little bit with the MakseLife digital planners, and especially the journaling components like the Reflections Notebook, and I've really been loving that. So I ended up using the digital version of the Reflections Notebook for this year. It worked super well for me, but that does mean I have an extra blank one of these, and I'm going to gift this along to one of you. If you didn't order a new MakseLife planner this year and you don't have a Reflections Notebook of your own and you would like one and you really think you're going to use it, leave a comment on this video saying that you need a Reflections Notebook, and in a few days I'll pick one of you to gift this on along. You can see the description of this video for a little bit more information. Year-end reflections are a really important part of the goal setting process. I think it really helps us transition from this year that we're in now until next year, really think deeply about the year as a whole. Even going through something like wins, which is one of the prompts in here, there's so much stuff that happened in the beginning of the year that I completely forgot about or didn't realize was this year. So it really helps to kind of go back through your planners, go back through your calendars, really think about the year as a whole, not just the last few months, because I definitely think when we start to go into next year, we get sort of a last few months bias, especially if your life changed a lot over the course of the year. I feel like I was in a completely different place doing completely different things at the beginning of this year compared to the end. So it's really important to go back and reflect on the year as a whole. And as has become my tradition, we are going to do this video vlog style. So come with me throughout the day. We're going to work on a few different things. And while we do that, I will be going through my goals, which I did abandon midway through the year, seeing how I did with them despite that, some wins, some losses, and also I'll be sharing with you some of my reflections using some of the prompts in there, and I will share with you some of the actual spreads that I've done in my iPad on the digital planner just so that you can see what that looks like as well. Then stay tuned, because in just a few days, hopefully, I will also have my 2025 annual goals video where I will be using the MakseLife flagship vertical to set my goals for 2025. My first year not in the companion notebook. Super exciting. If you want to see this planner in more detail before we jump in, I do have a MakseLife review crew video, and you can also check out my 2025 planner lineup video, which is already up, to check out all of the planners that I'll be using for this year. But spoiler alert, it's mainly this one. All right, with that being said, let's go get about my day and also jump right in. Good morning. It's about 6:30 and I am gonna get up and get ready for the day. Kids are all already downstairs. My husband is up with them, giving them breakfast. He usually gets up before me, so time to brush our teeth, do my little morning routine, and then we can get going. This is my favorite vitamin C. It is crazy expensive. My mom gave this to me. She did not tell me how much it cost, and then I had some sticker shock after I ran out. This one is almost empty, but I'm trying to use every last drop since it was like way more than I would usually spend on a skincare product. Let all that kind of soak in and clean up the bathroom. I'm not going to put any makeup on right this second. I'm just like, I feel like that needs to sit for a little while.
Well, actually, but you have a video of that?
No. I am unloading the dishwasher though.
Oh, a video to say, how to unload the dishwasher. We have a 5-people family, a husband, and 3
Ooh, you are so sassy this morning.
Turn the video back on, please.
Sure.
You want to know what I like about the tape marker? You can go over black with the tape marker.
Oh yeah, so you can fix your picture. My little one has gone off to preschool. My husband drives her in, and left the 2 big ones working on that wrapping paper. Here's what my office is looking like. It's actually not as messy as it looks. So I've been working on my goals videos. I'm going to keep filming with that in a little bit. And then everything in the back is like presents that need to be wrapped, which is what we will be doing shortly. This is my new computer desk setup with like all my workstation and everything. I want to get something to put on top of that wall, but I'm really loving this with like the bigger desk because I have space to either put my iPad or a planner. That is my content planner there. I've got like my work notebooks and all that kind of stuff there as well. And I am just gonna check in with a few things morning check-in wise. I can finish getting ready and the kids can go to school. All right, so I finished my computer stuff, but I realized I'm in the middle of uploading a YouTube video for today, but I realized that I don't actually have a thumbnail for it. So we're gonna go ahead and set up a thumbnail, which means I do need to move this MakseLife stuff just off to the side since I'm in the middle of it. And this actually, the first thing that I'm gonna do once the kids leave for school is work a little more on this because my handwriting starts to get tired after writing for so long. So I'm trying to like schedule in breaks in the middle of writing in there so that my handwriting stays kind of its best self. I bought a lot of stuff, Erin Cadron Black Friday. That's why I feel like usually how I shop EC, like I don't place orders all that often, but when I do, they're during a sale and they're absolutely massive. Goodbye, friends. Yeah, you have golf this afternoon. I'll pick you up.
Okay.
Have a good day. All right, the kids have walked down to the bus stop, making this kind of like my favorite time of the day. I love the kids, but after they just leave and I have like a minute, I'm watching them out the window. I can see the bus stop from the window and it's just like really quiet and peaceful. We can have some coffee. And now that the busy part of the morning routine is done, everybody's off, I can get on with my day, which today involves filming this and my 2024 annual reflections video. For the past couple of years, I've done this vlog style and it's really fun. We're gonna just move throughout my day. We're gonna wrap an absolute ton of Christmas and Hanukkah presents, and I'm just gonna chat about how 2024 went and go through my 2024 goals and like check in with them and see where we're at with the process. So overall, 2024 was kind of like a meh year. I feel like I accomplished a lot of stuff, but I also was like ended up very focused on one specific life area, which was work, and at the definite expense of other life areas. And I actually ended up, I won't say abandoning my goals, but abandoning like formal goal setting and formal goal process kind of in the spring. I briefly revisited things in the summer, but just kind of didn't really do monthly goals or weekly actions for most of this year. And I did check in and read my goals before I started the reflections process, but there's definitely a lot of goals in here that I just completely walked away from. And I think that's totally fine. I wish I had stuck more with goals or like kind of set new goals at some point throughout the year, but that is just like not where my headspace was at and not where my timing was at. So I'm really looking forward and enjoying this season right now where I can really dive back into the process and really think things through. My life just really, I feel like I've said this every year, but my life changed so much in the past year. A lot of that in previous year has been like work that I've been doing and work in the MakseLife system to improve my life. But this year, I actually feel like it was more external. I had work and learning goals that I was in touch with, but an opportunity came up this year. Well, it was actually an opportunity that I created for myself, but it ended up being like completely amazing, but it also ended up taking like way more time and mental energy than I think I had initially anticipated. And I just feel like that ate up so much of my year. I'm very proud of it and very proud of my work accomplishments for the year, but I do think that they definitely came at the expense of some of the other life areas. I did really lose touch with planning and a lot of my basic organization systems in this past year. So next year I would really like to strive for a bit more balance and have still like maintain some of that growth I achieved in my own business. I have a freelance business if you don't know, but balance that out with like having a little bit more time to enjoy life, enjoy family, have fun, and also just kind of not feel so discombobulated and disorganized, which is really unlike myself. I also got into a pretty big funk kind of in the fall of this year, and I'm really like finally feeling back to myself and coming out of it. And it was just a really hard time for me, kind of like mentally and emotionally, and having to push through that. It was definitely a struggle. So I really allowed myself to kind of wallow in that for a while before I started to trying to like push through and break out of it. But now that I am feeling mostly back to myself, I feel so much better. But really, since like the end of November, since Thanksgiving, I've really been starting to feel a lot better. So that's good. And I'm taking that energy forward, hopefully taking some lessons learned. I really enjoyed working through the reflections notebook this year. I found it like very rewarding, and it was like great to kind of get back in touch with myself and think about the year as a whole, and not just like the strong amounts of negative energy that had kind of occupied my mind for the past 3 months. So it's great to kind of look back at the whole year and all of the things that I did accomplish and sort of hype myself up for this coming year. So I am going to go through all of my annual goals from last year and read them, and we'll go just kind of in life area order, and I will kind of tell you which ones I abandoned and tell you which ones I accomplished or not accomplished. Even with walking away from formal goal setting, I still very much feel like the MakseLife framework is always in my brain. It's very hardwired into how I live my life at this point. So I'm interested to reflect on the goals, even though I wasn't checking in with them, like how I feel like I did on them. But the kids have already caught the bus, so I'm actually going to head back upstairs and we'll start right in on the goals once I get set up wrapping presents. All right, so I did clear off my desk from the EC stuff, and I'm going to do a little bit of filming for my goals until my handwriting kind of starts to feel not great, and then I'm going to pivot to something else because I want to try and finish this video, filming this video today, but it is a lot of writing on my hand. So these are my 2024 goals there. My word for personal category was sustain. And my first goal there was maintain and build up my planner systems, master calendar, goals and reflections, calendar, and scheduling systems. And I did really not do a good job with that. I feel this past year was the most disconnected I've ever felt from planning and like planners in my entire adult life. I really let go of a lot of those systems, and to the detriment, like where I was actually feeling it in my life. The master calendar needs a complete refresh. That's going to be some stuff around that and like how to make it so that it actually works and utilize better digital tools on that. If you haven't watched the MakseLife Goal Setting masterclass series that was like the lives on YouTube, and particularly the one about AI, I like 10 out of 10 recommend it. I'm definitely going to be pulling things. I've already been using the AI to help me with goals brainstorming this year, and I'm going to be using that with some of these like more digital tools, etc. Especially, on some of these like creating systems that work and that I can keep up with. Scheduling, I do think I did okay on. The kids were really scheduled this year, and we've had a lot of play dates lately and that kind of stuff. So I do feel like that one has been okay. But other than that, goals and reflections, master calendar, planner systems, pretty much all a fail for the year. But we are diving back in, and it's nice to know that like some of the things are so ingrained with me that they stick with me even when I'm not at my best. The next goal was to engage with hobbies in a way that feels good, fun, and sustainable. No, I did not do a good job with that. I did a really, really bad job with that. In fact, the only hobby that I engaged with at all this year is reading, and I feel like I did it in pretty much the most unhealthy way possible, where I was just using reading as an avoidance technique and reading instead of sleeping at various points throughout the year, and in like a really, really unhealthy way to engage with something that is like a good hobby that I like. And I feel very disconnected from creativity and those kinds of hobbies as well. So I didn't do a good job with that. And then the other one was carve out time to reset from parenting. That one I actually feel like I did okay with. What I actually needed was probably carve out time to reset from work. I had some points in the year where I felt like overwhelmed by kind of like mommy life pressures, but it honestly was more the like kind of crazy work schedule on top of the crazy kid schedule, and that did not feel good. So in some ways yes, in some ways no. In general, I think that is the area, personal is the area that really suffered the most in the last year, and like where I feel like the most off my usual self. Really, like, my work growth came very much at the expense of the personal and probably personal and spiritual growth categories, more so than any other category. Those were my 3 goals in the personal category, and I am going to go ahead and get filming, and then when I come back, we'll start on the fun and recreation category. All right, so I finished filling out all of those goals brainstorming sheets by life areas. That is how I'm using them, is like to brainstorm for each of the life areas before I like come up with the formal language for my goals. But anyway, I have a little bit, my hand is like cramping from all that writing, and I have a little bit of freelance business of work that I need to do now. So I am uploading all of my footage, including all of the stuff that I filmed for the vlog this morning. I'm going to charge up my devices, which are now all dying, and then I'm going to do my freelance work while I work on that. And then we will probably catch back up when I go to eat something, and we'll talk more about my goals then. All right, so I am down in the kitchen. I was working on writing something and I finished a draft. I still need to like add in some charts and do a final read before I submit it, but I can either do that this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, I'm gonna make a little lunch because I'm absolutely starving. Then I'm gonna go back, do a little bit more goals filming, and then I'm gonna wrap some presents. I do wanna wrap some presents before I have to pick the kids up at school. But again, I'm starving. We've got like a bunch of different leftovers. This is like some leftover noodles from last night. This like tomato bread thing from the night before. I've got a ton of ham because we got our free ham from the supermarket this week. And then I'm gonna have that like mixed together with eggs and stuff. I don't know. I really like a hot lunch. So that's what we're going for. And in the meantime, we can chat about my goals in the fun and recreation category. My like word theme was scheduled, which I feel like is very on brand for the past couple of years. My goals in this category have been pretty similar since I started MakseLife, and I have said before, this is the category where I feel like MakseLife has changed my life the most, and like in a way where like my overall happiness is so much higher than prior to starting MakseLife. You know, setbacks aside this year, but still, I feel like I've done a ton of work in this category. It's also my favorite category to set goals, and I think it's really like underrated and impactful. But my goal, 3rd year running, will still be at my goals for 2025 was the scheduled fun. Basically, like, make sure we've got plans and make sure there's stuff going on, weekend plans, vacation plans, plans for the kids, like different things that we can do so that we're not, so that keep us busy so that we're not like just relying on screens to have fun, and yeah, get the kids out of the house because they can't handle just being in the house 24/7. I feel like I still did pretty okay with this. But the problem that I'm facing with this issue right now is that I actually think that a lot of our like regular go-to activities, particularly in cold weather time, are no longer all that fun for the kids. Like, we're starting to age out of a lot of the things we used to do. When the weather is nice, this is like not remotely a problem. You know, we can be outside, we can go to the playground, we can do the zoo, we can do like a million different things. But when the weather is not so great, like in the winter, we're definitely struggling a little bit more. So in general, I do think I did a good job with this, but like there's definitely room for improvement there, and like room to just, I guess, kind of shift around what we're trying to do, just, you know, given that the kids are getting older. Then the other area that I really want to work more on is like having more good at-home activities, both like family activities and then also like stuff that's solo for the kids. You saw this morning that I set up that coloring wrapping paper, like more stuff like that. Just keep them fighting, keep them from complaining about like the lack of television. We let our kids watch TV, but we were trying to like really cut back on some of that and like trying not to use television as like childcare quite so much. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but like there was definitely a period for the past year where I just let them start watching TV as soon as they got home from school, and that's not what we want to be doing. We did a couple weeks ago, we did a full week with no TV. It went really well. We're kind of just trying to reset a little bit. All right, so I am having this major problem where I keep confusing my 2023 and my 2024 goals. To be fair, they're fairly similar, But anyway, this is actually my 2023 goals that I was just reading from, but the scheduled fun is exactly the same. I pretty much just wrote exactly the same thing year over year. So, still reflections still hold true on that. But actually my overall word was the same too, scheduled, unscheduled. But the next one is just, the next set of goals there is slightly different. The vacation thing, and the reason is because we had actually done a ton of vacation planning in 2023 for 2024. So I didn't have as much planning to do. We went on 2 major vacations last year. One to Turks and Caicos with my whole extended family, and that was in January. So it was like completely planned by the time, I was setting my goals for last year. And then 2, we also went to Disney for a whole week. That was in October. I have a video up about that if you want to watch it, but it was really, really fun. My husband actually did most of the planning for that trip, which was really nice. And we had a great time. We don't have any vacations planned for this coming year, so definitely need to get on that. Want to do more vacations this coming year. And we also did like a bunch of mini adventures, little trips. We have one more little trip coming up where we're headed out of town for the first part of winter break. So we've done a really good job with that this year. And I hope to continue that in next year. So I definitely think that is really great. I would like to take another solo trip with my husband, just the 2 of us this coming year. We didn't make that happen last year, but we did the year before that. And then I am leaning towards not going to Go Wild this year. I still had fun, but year 2 was definitely a little bit of a letdown after year 1 and like the absolute blast I had at Go Wild. And I'm just not feeling super enthusiastic about going this year. You can let me know if you're going in the comments. I haven't like fully ruled it out yet, but I'm definitely not feeling like as committed to going as I was then. But either way, more mini trips and adventures and some big vacation family planning as well. Then the last thing I said was kid-free plans with my husband and friends. To me, that has become, if you've watched the video in the MakseLife training about like external and internal, I think a lot of my goals, not just with that one, but some that I'll talk about later in family and relationships and spiritual and personal growth, were really for me like external, like the things I think I'm supposed to want. But like, I talk to my husband all the time, every day. We have a fantastic partnership and a fantastic marriage. Like, I understand that I am supposed to want to go on like date nights and stuff, but like, we just don't always feel like going out. We're very homebodies. Like, why am I trying to force that when I feel like my marriage is one of the best and most consistent things in my life? Like, I don't need to go for those external validation metrics when I'm completely satisfied and happy in my marriage. Like, that seems silly. So yes, we do go out to dinner sometimes and go out without the kids, but like, I don't know that I need that to be a goal, to push for some certain numbers of nights out when like, it's not really something that either of us wants to do. But anyway, in general, I feel like overall I was really successful with this category and my goals in this category. I definitely honored them even when I walked away from my goals. This is very much part of my life now. One of the things that I think I need to kind of bring in, whether it's in this category or not in this category, is just like more day-to-day fun, things to combat burnout, like things that can kind of have that negative mental impact on you, but not necessarily, those goals don't necessarily need to be in that category, but just like in terms of the overall level of how much fun am I having right now and how happy do I feel like on those kind of bigger things I did really well, but it's some of the smaller day-to-day stuff that I need a little bit more work on. Okay, and then I don't know whether I used my 2023 or my 2024 goals for personal. They were pretty similar, but it was basically around routines, stuff around routines. In 2023, I was like maintain and build them up. And in 2024, I said like have them help me move throughout my day better, like better pacing, better motivation and accomplishment. And either way, I did not do great on those. This is the area that I struggled with the most, I think, last year. So either way, I'm not feeling great about that. And I'm feeling like I really need to recommit and work on my routines and structure to move throughout my day. And then I had strive for balance throughout my days. That was actually the rhythm one. And this was that's probably like my biggest fail of the year. Can kind of spoiler alert, kind of guess what my word of the year might be. You can let me know in the comments down below if you have a guess at any point in this video. But yeah, for me was just such a disaster, especially as I got so busy with work. And then proactive with planning, scheduling, and systems. The scheduling I do feel okay about. It's just the planning and the systems that kind of fell apart. And then in 2023, I think I said to engage with the hobbies. And I feel like I already talked about that. I didn't do a good job with that either, even though it wasn't in my goals this year. I would like to bring that kind of back in for next year. So anyway, that is those two categories taken care of. So next up, I'm going to move over to the table to eat. And we could talk about my most successful area of the year, work and learning. Also, because I had my other book before, and I think that I had said the wrong word of the year, which goes to show you how connected I am with my word of the year. My word of the year this year was actually awake, which I do kind of like, but I was definitely not awake for a lot of this year, and I don't think I did a good job with that. I'm just kind of mixing up. I've got an egg and ham and all that good stuff together. Okay, so in my annual goals category for this year, I had 3. The first one was called grow my business while maintaining time to pursue other things. I grew my business so much. I think like 80%. I nearly doubled the amount of money that I made this year. Not quite, but almost. And I grew my business a tremendous amount. I feel like I had a really positive impact on my reputation within the industry. I got to work on some really cool projects. I had that class that I spoke about, which was like a huge professional win for me. Overall, that just went super, super well. But the other part with the maintaining time to pursue other things, that did not go well. I definitely overcommitted on work projects. I have not found the good balance. Freelance can be so hard with that. Trying to find a balance between when you're setting everything yourself, trying to find that balance between like work and other things. Yeah, that's definitely been a challenge for me. So while I'm really proud of my growth, I also just think that it had more of a cost than I was hoping for and expecting. And this year I'll be working on kind of maintaining my business and maintaining that while kind of carving that into like a more balanced life overall. My other one was pursue ideas, opportunities, and projects that serve what I'm building. This I think I did a phenomenal job on. Like I said, I had this class thing that I worked super hard on. It was my idea. I was able to commercialize it. That was incredible. I also worked on a number of really cool projects that I'm interested in. So I definitely think that worked really well. And then I said, be thoughtful and strategic with what I say yes to and respect my time, what I say yes and no to and respect my time. There were times of the year where I said no to things, but there were also times of the year where I said yes to absolutely everything. And I feel like what I based it on was just like how burnt out I felt rather than, there was a few projects I said no to that were like purely based on interest. But other than that, I felt like it was more like say yes to everything, get super burnt out, say no to everything. And one of the goals that I'm definitely going to be working on next year is like a more concrete way to evaluate certain projects and things like that. But yeah, overall in this category, my word was balance, which I did not. But if my word had been grow, I definitely would have hit that. It was an amazing year for my business, and I feel super, super proud of what I've accomplished. And now I just need to work on fitting that into my life into a way that feels like a lot less stressful. But since I have that foundation there, like regular things, some of the projects that I do are like regular, and that's a lot easier to fit into a schedule. So I think I have the good foundations to carry it forward in a way that's like a little bit more sustainable than what I did last year. All right, I'm gonna take a little break because it's hard to eat and talk at the same time. And then next up, we'll talk about family and relationships. I'm back upstairs now, and I actually just went ahead and wrote the years on this so that I stop getting confused. I'm also gonna put the 2023 one away for right now. I was using that as part of like my goals brainstorming, which is why it was out. But they, again, look exactly the same. So I have my 2024 goals back out now, and the other ones are away. I've also got my hot water, which I drink all day, all winter long. And I'm going to finish up filming this video because I'm almost done. I just have to do the personal values thing, which I already have like drafted out on my iPad. I'm just going to copy it onto here very, very neatly. I'd like this one to look neat, unlike the brainstorming ones where I was okay with this looking a little bit messy since it's literally brainstorming for my goals. Usually I would do this on like scrap paper or printouts from the MakseLife website, but since I had the annual goals toolkit, I decided to use this for brainstorming. I think I will still need one printout of the MakseLife goals. That way I can like map out how I want it to look on the page. I'm going to take this and what I've already done with AI and work on the wording on my iPad and use like the digital companion notebooks for that. But I am going to want to physically lay it out on the page with my own handwriting, especially after having done this where I feel like what I was able to lay out on the typed page and what I was able to lay out with my handwriting was not exactly the same thing. So I think I will print one of the MakseLife things, but I'm going to finish this, which is part 1 of my goal setting first. Yeah, so finish this video and then do a little bit more work, but I'm going to give myself a stop at 2 o'clock and I'm going to switch to wrapping presents at that point. All right, so I've got my wrapping paper stuff ready to go. I also felt like some of my footage was a little quiet, which I can fix in editing, but I am wearing a microphone now, so hopefully that will help with that, especially given a little bit loud wrapping paper. So I have the first batch of wrapping paper that my kids made. This was totally my husband's idea. I'm not going to steal credit for this. My sister-in-law, they like always wrap presents in butcher paper and it's super, super cute. But my husband, we needed like an activity and my husband was like, well, what if we have a bunch of butcher paper? We are like almost completely out of wrapping paper. And he was just kind of like, well, what if we let them draw all over it and it turns it into like custom wrapping paper, which I'm sure our grandparents will appreciate. But anyway, so this is the one we have. It's got all kinds of fun drawings on it. Christmas, Hanukkah. My daughter even wrote some song lyrics on it. So lots of really, really fun stuff over here. She wrote Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to all. We got all kinds of fun stuff. Obviously, like way too much of this. And we even made more. Well, not too much. It's too much to work with. I am not the best rapper on the planet, but I will be trying to make an effort. And then also, I've been watching like a ton of wrapping paper TikToks. So we'll see if that kind of helps me out with some of the bizarrely shaped stuff. But anyway, while we wrap some presents, we're going to chat more goals. I finished the thing I was writing and got that handed over to my editor. So feeling really good about that. And I also am almost done with part 1 of my goal setting series. I did not do the intentions page yet. 1, hand cramping, but 2, I actually haven't finished drafting that one out. So I probably will have to film that tomorrow because I'll finish drafting it tonight as my evening journaling. But we're on family goals. Goals that say 2024 so that I'm not reading the wrong thing. And we're going to start wrapping some presents and talk about family goals, which our word here was build, and it said teach our children perseverance, independence, and confidence. Okay, so like mixed things in this year. I actually think I might just read all of the goals and then we can kind of talk about it. It said take a more thoughtful and conversational approach to parenting and guide and support the kids, and then grow my own support network and pursue meaningful connections with friends. Okay, so I have some weird mixed feelings about this one. One, on the friendship thing, I've just decided I only want my goals in the family and relationships category to be about immediate family, like my husband and my kids. All my other relationships are just not, they're just not primary enough. And I know that like that's not necessarily how you have to use that category or how you should use that category. But for me, I need that separation in my goals. I need this to just be about I need this to just be about like my family, like my immediate family. And that just works better for me. And like, I can't treat other relationships, even with extended family, the same way that I treat relationships with like my primary family and my primary relationships. Just trying to take that mindset doesn't fit with me. And like, I like interacting with people. I like having friends and doing things with my friends. But I think some of what I was thinking and my goals in this category with that and in other things I was trying to do were very external. Like
there's maybe nothing wrong with having like a very small group of primary relationships and then just having a wider network that's more a little bit fun and lighter, and I think that might serve me a little bit better. The first thing that I'm going to wrap is actually a present for my sister-in-law. I shared this in my Erin Cadron Black Friday haul, so I have a bunch of goodies from Erin Cadron for her. I'm trying to see. We have one of these, so I'm not sure if I can like fit certain things in there. I mean, I can certainly fit the markers in there. I don't know if that really helps me or not. And I wonder if I could. I don't know. I always have this debate like on grown-ups because this is really more of a birthday present. We really mostly exchange like Christmas gifts between the kids. So I feel like it's more fun for the adults if you are going to give them something to have like more things to unwrap. So I might unwrap a few different things at once. All right. I am going to like kind of cut this so I can have a little bit more of this sectioned. But anyway, on the 2 family goals, the teaching our children perseverance, independence, and confidence, and then taking a more thoughtful and conversational approach to parenting. Okay, I feel like it's a mixed bag. Some wins, some losses. One, I feel like the kids are getting older and like a lot of things that we have previously done, like previous tools that I have, just aren't necessarily working as well as they used to. I feel like our discipline techniques are like more geared towards younger children than necessarily like elementary school age kids. So I feel like we need to do some work on that. I feel like we are getting there. But yeah, we definitely had some challenging times with regards to that. And then 2, one of our kids is struggling a little bit right now. We've had some academic issues, some social issues, different things, and just like feel really not super equipped to handle that. Like we were seeking outside help to help with that as well, and make sure that that kid is getting like all of the support that they need so that they feel good and are kind of living their best life as well. So I feel like we're taking steps in the right direction there, but I'm not going to lie, there were some definite challenges this year, and some breakdowns on my part because you just feel like you're not doing enough, or it's really tough when your kids are struggling and you don't know necessarily how to help them. So that has been really challenging, but I do feel like better about where we're at with that now, and I feel like we're hopefully going to be making progress with that. But in terms of like independence and confidence and that, we're getting there, we're working on it. That's like a continuous goal. It's not something that's ever going to really go away, right? We want our kids to be their best selves. I think I might just wrap all 3 of these together. And that is, so that really hasn't changed, and we still want those things. We had some pretty big wins for independence this year. My daughter, which I've shared this before, but my oldest daughter started overnight camp this summer, and that was like a huge win. She called it one of we were talking, I don't know, I actually think I think I might have caught it on the video this morning, although I had to get her to say it twice because the first time she said it, she said the name of her camp, and I was like, I'm not going to share that. But I said, whoa, and they were asking what I was filming, and I was just saying, we're reflecting in this video, we're talking about how our 2024 went. Like, how did you feel your 2024 went? What were some of your favorite things from the past year? And she immediately said camp, which is just so wonderful to hear because, she spent her first summer at overnight camp. She was away for 7 weeks without us. Like, if that's not independence, I don't know what is. She had an amazing time. She's looking forward to going back. So really feeling really good about that. It's a big decision. It's a huge milestone. I also grew up going to overnight camp. So really, really exciting. She's now trying to convince my husband and I to send her brother early, but he's still a little bit too young for camp. So we'll approach that in another year or so. But anyway, so that was like a really big win for that. And I love that she said that immediately because, that just makes me feel so good. So that was, like I said, we're working on that. I don't know. All the kids, they are who they are. And we're just like trying to help them be their best selves and grow. My 4-year-old is like so beyond sassy. And, we've had some issues with that, but, I think it's like mostly normal kid stuff. Sometimes parenting is a joy and it's really, really fun. And sometimes it's so hard and just like the worst thing ever. So I think anybody who's a parent can kind of relate to that. And yeah, there's not really more to say about that. So that was my family and relationships. So we're kind of like shifting there. Health and wellness. I had 3 goals in this category. Build and maintain routines that help me live my best life. Be proactive with my own health in terms of routines, appointments, providers, and movement. And then improve my relationship with this category. Goal setting in here and the health establishment. So I've previously like spoken about my background drama and issues with setting goals in this category. And you can check out my reflections video from last year if you want to hear about that in a lot more detail. Not going to get into that again this year. I loved in the goal setting MakseLife series, the masterclass, which I keep talking about. So, definitely check that out if you haven't already. I did watch it on 1.25 to 1.5 speed, depending on the parts. Just if the length of those videos is daunting to you, because it is like 4.5 hours of content. But I did like greatly compress that. But anyway, the internal versus external goals, and Sierra like specifically called out that this is an area where people tend to set really external goals. And I feel like I am so overcautious about not setting external goals in this category. Like given my history with diet culture and those kinds of things, that I tend to like really underset goals in this category. After my kind of really sad period of the fall, I am like not feeling my best at all. Like still definitely not back to 100%, even though mentally I feel snapped out of it, but just like the overall impact, it's not, I'm not out of that yet. I think it's okay to maybe be like a little bit firmer with myself in this category. Still gonna respect all of my long-term history with it and my feelings and that, but I do think that it's okay to be like a little bit firmer with myself. And this kind of goes to all of it. Like I am putting on my goals this year, I need to find a new GP, like a new doctor that I don't hate, which is like a lengthy process because I don't ever like them, and you don't need to go to the doctor that often. So I will at least be trying a new doctor this year to go for like a regular checkup and hopefully finding someone that I like. But if not, try again next year, like trying to find a care provider that I actually like can stand to see more than once. I think it's important to have a GP, like just in case you get sick and like you need a prescription. If you're not on the books with someone, it can be really hard to get that. But like historically, this has just been a real challenge for me because of some more drama. But anyway, other than that, I do feel like I like my OB, and I also feel like I love my dentist, and I have a really good dermatologist as well. If you are a longtime viewer of this channel, you'll know that I suffered about 1.5 years ago, I get this point, from like really bad chemical burns from an allergic reaction to something. And I had only ever been to that dermatologist like once before, but I had to go so many times during the healing process of that. And I feel very good about my dermatologist. I just have like one scar, and I'm actually going to get that scar looked at in January by them. But anyway, scheduling my appointments, making sure I'm staying on top of that, trying to find providers that I feel good about. I feel like I did a really good job staying on top of the kids' appointments. Like everybody went to all of the stuff that they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do, flu shot, regular doctor's appointments, dentist, all of those things. That worked really well. Okay, I'm going to have to pause because I want to watch this TikTok video that I saw of this really cool way to wrap stuff that was like kind of squishy. But what I'll say before I pause this to go watch that video is that I didn't and I haven't done a good job of that for myself. I made a really final like Q4 effort to kind of catch up on some of those appointments, but having that be like more throughout the year, and not just for the dentist, which I never skip the dentist, but for like actually going to doctor's appointments and scheduling them for myself, I think that would be a really good thing for me. And then when I come back, I'll talk about the other side and the fitness and routines aspect of this. Okay, so I looked up how to do this on TikTok, and I think I've got it here. You kind of like fold it like this and then make it into a bag. I feel like. All right, now hopefully you can kind of see that. All right, so we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this. I don't know if this is gonna work, but again, it feels pretty low stakes. Anyway, okay, so the other thing, build and maintain routines that help me live my best life. My dental routine, which if you are unfamiliar, I had pregnancy-induced gingivitis with all three of my kids. I have a lot of dental work, like implants and veneers and stuff from when I was a teenager. And the combination of those two things did a real number on my entire like mouth. And it took forever for me to heal completely from the pregnancy-induced gingivitis. This past year, I ended up having all of the work that was done when I was a teenager replaced, which was not as expensive as I thought it was going to be, thankfully. But my teeth are in fantastic shape. I take really good of them. I don't really skip my dental routine. I do a really good job about that. Even when I don't want to do it, I do it. And I have actually, for the first time since I've had kids, been released back to only having to go to the dentist twice a year, like a regular recall. Basically since I've been pregnant with my first, and she's now almost 9, I had been having to go 4 times a year. And I'm now like back. So my teeth are like very well healed at this point. So just going to keep maintaining that. So that is a real win. I don't really feel like, I take good care of my teeth, but a lot of it was just like having the patience to let that kind of just play out on its own. There was a lot of waiting. And then of course, obviously the work that I had, did really help with that as well. Okay. And then, the other piece of that though, is I have done a really bad job with going to bed on time, and like my whole bedtime routine is definitely, I won't say it's like in shambles. Like I feel like I do all of the components of it, and then I just sit there and read until I am so tired I cannot keep my eyes open, and then I'm so tired in the morning. I'm trying to be better about that, but that was like a huge symptom of, what kind of I did especially during like the peak of when I wasn't feeling my best. So again, just trying to get back into like those regular routines and rhythms of life. I'm like not at all happy with how this wrapping is gone. I think I want to fix that. But yeah, I'm skincare. I've had some like hits and misses with that as well in terms of those routines, like some good periods, some bad periods. I'm in a good period right now. So I think just like striving for consistency on a lot of those things will be super helpful. The one that has been really bad is just around exercise and movement. I've not done a good job with that. And furthermore, I have ClassPass, and I have like been paying for ClassPass for a really long while now, and I'm not getting my money's worth because I just don't schedule things, and then I let my credits expire. And that's usually when there's like a financial penalty. I'm pretty good about not doing things like that, but that I've completely let go. I have like started going back to classes sometimes, but I need to make that more like a regular part of things. And then also just, I don't know, I want to focus on, for this year for exercise, I really want to focus on like fun and social elements and make the goals more around that rather than, I don't know, other things. And like that way it's a little bit easier for me to stick to. I think it's such a great way to be social with people. And that is something I really enjoy, like walking with people. I have, some neighbors and friends that have like offered that. And then I also, I love like classes. I always have. So I think just kind of doing more of that, more of the social things, and just making my goals a little more geared towards that. Again, I think it's okay to be a little bit firmer with myself in there. That is health and wellness. Next up, spiritual and personal growth. Oh, my word of the year, my subword of the year for that category was repair. I don't know if I'm going to do subwords of the year this year or not. Just like a lot of words. I'll see when I'm mapping out how I want my goals to look. If that's like something that's resonating with me. My subword of the year for spiritual and personal growth was mindset. Anyway, on spiritual and personal and growth, maintain the balance between connections and boundaries. And I think in that I was really talking about like especially relationships with my extended family. In general, I feel like in terms of that I do actually think that I did a pretty decent job. In terms of like with my whole life, respecting the boundaries between the life areas and all of that, again, I feel like this year was totally out of balance, and I feel very out of balance from that. So kind of a mixed bag. Volunteer and give generously and teach the kids the same. Like medium, I would say my volunteering was like semi on par with the year before, but I definitely feel like I had less energy to give just given how busy I was. And then, but I didn't necessarily like reduce my commitments. I just maybe didn't do like as active of job with them, which I feel like actually our whole PTA board was kind of feeling the same. It was not as good of a fundraising year for the school and things like that. So I think, overall okay, but I think I can kind of work things into my life like a little bit better in the nature of balance. Because one thing that I really do like that I want, like giving generously, like I think we would like to give more financially this year than we did last year, but also in terms of like giving of my time, like and my volunteering at the school, there's like a huge social component of that. And like, yes, you should give back to give back, but like it's easier to maintain it if it's something that you also find rewarding and get something out of. And I feel like that has been like a main source of friendships for me at this point, like in my real life, is meeting people in the community and getting to interact with people that have kids similarly aged and live near us, and that component is so important. So like kind of honoring that and using volunteering as like a source of connection, and kind of incorporating that into the goal as well. The last goal here is pretty much one that I also always have in my goals, and it's like my ultimate mindset mantra, which is let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can control and how you react. And I think that's just honestly like that is the mission statement of how I try and deal with stress and other people and stressful situations. And sometimes I'm really good at it and sometimes I'm not. And I think that that's pretty normal, but like that is still a statement that very much resonates with me and will be in my goals, in some fashion, or in my overall mantras that I use throughout the year in some fashion. So that's definitely something that still resonates with me. I definitely had some periods of the year where I did not do a good job with that, especially on like the stressful situations versus things that were like rather than relationships, where I feel like I've done a better job on that on the relationship side of thing and a less good job of that on just like the external situation side of things. I'm like flying through with these reflections. All right, on the financial category, I've spoken about this before. This is always my strongest assess life area, and that is not any different this year. I gave myself a 10 when I was doing like my subjective scoring compared to the beginning of the year. And I don't think that was really necessarily anything I specifically did in this category. I just personally made a lot more money from my freelance business than we had projected at the beginning of the year, like based on the way my business was growing and based on how, we were just generally doing. And like what kind of expectations. So I far exceeded my and my husband, like our financial expectations for the year. And that had like an overall positive impact because, we were able to kind of roll that into savings, but also use that as like an opportunity to make this Disney trip like a really not budget trip, and really kind of go all out and have some good experiences like that, because we felt really, really good about our savings for the year. I feel like we're in a really good space with that. I get a lot of support in this category from my husband. One, we are a dual income household, but two, he also handles like a lot of the monitoring and tracking and like planning elements of that. And it's something that I'm aware of, and I'm part of that and part of the long-term conversations, but it's not something where I'm like carrying all of the mental labor and mental load for like the same way I am for the kids' schedules. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but my husband also works in finance, so it's something that he's already thinking about. the systems that I have in place in this category are mostly things that predate MakseLife. You know, the stability I feel in this category certainly predates MakseLife as well. So I think mostly my goals in this category will continue to be maintenance goals as well. And I just on this had like just a list of things that we track monthly, annually, etc. And I did a fine job with all of those that year, or I'll say we did a fine job with all of those this year, because again, my husband carries like most of the like week to week, month to month load on that for us. I cannot tell if this is like good or just so chaotic that it like, looks horrible, but we're going with it. We are going with it. Good job, Lindsay. And all of that talking, I wrapped like one present, so that feels, yeah, that's awesome. That is more talking than wrapping going on here at this point. All right, so swapped out and trimmed another piece of paper, and I've got this Pennsylvania cutting board for my mother-in-law that I think I wrapped enough of paper to get it. And also, my mother-in-law, which is probably the only person that will appreciate this, I cut the section of the paper so that she will get drawings from all three kids. Because I actually feel like she, of all the people I'm wrapping gifts for, will appreciate that the most. But anyway, the last category that I have to talk about here is physical environment. My word was systematic. Create a new home cleaning, maintenance, and project management system. That is the first one. Fail. We got really behind on everything, like decluttering, deep cleaning, a bunch of maintenance stuff, all of that, and then blasted through a full house decluttering in the last 2 months of the year. My spaces feel amazing right now. Our house is the most decluttered it's been in years, but all of that happened in the past 2 months, and none of the stuff happened kind of, except for maybe like the kids' clothes. I did keep up with that more seasonally, but other than that, none of that happened like throughout the year. So definitely some work to be done there. So that is not, the most ideal way to handle that, nor is it how I want to handle that. So kind of, outsourcing what we can. I'm making a more formal schedule. My master calendar system completely it's gone. Like it's not, I still technically have the document. I haven't looked at it in forever. That needs like a full revamp. So that'll impact like the scheduling, health and wellness category and this category. And I'm hoping to incorporate some of the AI stuff that I've learned from my husband, who uses it a ton for work, from my own use of it for my own freelance business and through work, and then also from what I learned with the MakseLife video and what I've been playing around with in goals, and like kind of using that to help me set up some better systems, and like have a better handle on all of that kind of stuff there. And then we had create a project and upgrade list, and then for the year, and then accomplish it. So we created a list, and then I got some quotes on projects that we wanted to do. And then I had an absolute meltdown over how expensive things were. And we've done construction recently. I feel like this is, people talk about where they most feel inflation. Like looking at the quotes that we got this year compared to quotes that we got like 2 years ago is absolutely insane. And we just did not feel comfortable with the numbers we were getting. So we just decided to really reprioritize. And I had just like an absolute panic about it and was just like, forget it, let's just move. So then I spent like 6 weeks looking at houses, which there are not that many houses on the market in our area that would be like kind of in our size, price range, whatever. The market is pretty sparse right now. I did not find a house for us to move to. Then I did look at a lot of houses though. And so that was a thing that happened. We're not moving. Then I just decided we should buy new furniture instead of doing construction, which we bought a full new set of like living room furniture. We're going to turn this like little room that we emptied out into like a mini library. It used to be like a playroom before we finished our basement, and that we're going to make into a mini library. So we bought all of the furniture for that, but it has not all come in yet. Actually, none of it has come in yet. Finishing that for next year, but that's kind of as far as we got. So we need to reprioritize our list, make like a general wish list that's like, the next however many years, and then kind of work through them as time and budget and desire allows, rather than trying to like be like, okay, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z this year, and then getting a quote and being like, haha, just kidding, we're not gonna do anything. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And then build up and utilize daily, weekly, and monthly routines. The daily cleaning stuff has been like kind of a mixed bag, and I feel like that is this huge feedback loop with how I feel emotionally. Like if I'm feeling good, our spaces are clean, and then that makes me feel good, and it becomes a cycle. And then if I'm not feeling good, I don't put the effort in to making sure our spaces are clean, and then I feel worse about it, and then it kind of breaks down. But yeah, trying to make that be a little more consistent with that, and also trying to get the kids more involved with that. I think that's really important. I feel like the weekly stuff is handled because it's mostly outsourced. I have definitely not been on top of like laundry and like meal prep and that kind of stuff lately. But we do have a weekly cleaning service, so like that part feels fine. The monthly being like a little bit more of like deep clean elements and maintenance and that kind of stuff. I would like to get better from that. All right, so that is another present wrapped. And that is the beautiful wrapping paper decorations that we've got going on. And that is all of my goals. That's every goal that I wrote in 2024. I don't know. I think considering that I like stopped looking and stopped checking in on them, I accomplished more than I necessarily would have thought I would. And I do think that that is a testament to this being year 3 on the MakseLife system and not year 1 on the MakseLife system. The more you check in with things, the stronger you're going to feel in it, like the more connected to your goals you're going to feel. I definitely still accomplished things this year. A lot of things. I had a lot of wins. I'm going to talk about my wins in a minute. Overall, I feel like even though I accomplished a lot, I let my life and I let myself get very, very out of balance. And so that I don't feel like 2024 was as successful as 2022 and 2023 were for me, even though they're by certain metrics and certainly some external metrics, like financially, it was a much more successful year in 2024, but I felt better about the year in 2023 and in 2022. All right, we are back from school and I'm just getting backpacks unpacked. I did film myself wrapping more presents and talking through some of my reflections workbook and like I was going to put pictures up on the screen. Unfortunately, my microphone was either like not connected or out of batteries, so I can't use that, but we're going to try again. I will share more from my reflections. And again, I'll put pictures of my digital spreads that I did up on the screen while I talk through them. And I'll do that while I'm making dinner and like all of that good stuff. And then probably I'll wrap a little bit more presents after the kids have gone to bed. A little bit loud with the kids still coloring to try and do that now. The kids are working on some more wrapping paper because we don't have any homework because it's the last week of school before break. Assess what's in the folders and the snack damage, lunch damage. Someone didn't eat their yogurt. Friends, do you want mashed potatoes or chopped up roast potatoes? Yeah. Mashed, okay. Gravy? All right, so let's cut some Brussels sprouts, since they take a little bit longer in the oven. All right, so I'm going to cut up some Brussels sprouts. It's now around 5:15, so I let the kids go watch some TV while I'm prepping dinner. They were kind of finished up with the coloring, and we've really been trying to wait till like 5:15, 5:30 to start TV time. That way they're not watching too much. We usually eat around 6-ish, depending on the activities, sometime, or depending on how long it takes me to make dinner, like between 6 and 6:30 start time. Trying to aim for closer to 6, except for on nights when we have activities that are later, which is not tonight. We can kind of hear them screaming and fighting over the TV already, which is joyous. But anyway, we are having Brussels sprouts, lamb chops, and then the kids ask for mashed potatoes, which they won't eat anyways, because I feel like our kids don't really like potatoes, but we will try, and that's easier for a weeknight anyways than roasted potatoes. I was gonna just chop them up really small and roast them, but I would rather have mashed potatoes, so that works fine. And while I am prepping and cooking, start going back through my reflections notebook, which I actually completed on the iPad. I used the digital reflections notebook this year, which I mentioned. So I will pop some of the pictures, some of the spreads I'm fully comfortable sharing the full picture of everything that I wrote and everything. So I will pop those on the screen as I'm talking through it. There's a few of them that are like maybe like a little bit more emotional and personal that I won't share the full spread, but I will, kind of let you know the components of that I'm comfortable sharing. But starting off, just general year in review, which we've already been through a lot of. So just like going to pop up a picture of that first page in the reflections notebook besides the compass wheel. So to start this process, I did not take the compass assessment, like the full quiz that's in the planner. I just looked at my scores from last year, and then I just gave myself a subjective rating. Basically, how did I feel over the year and at the end of the year compared to kind of what I think I put at the beginning of the year. Obviously, that's really hard to do and super, super subjective. But I only take the assessment once per year. I just really find that there's such diminishing returns on taking the quiz again and again and again. I had 2 life areas where I improved, and those should come as no surprise: work and learning and finances. I had one that stayed the same, which was actually fun and recreation. Like I said, we had a lot of really fun vacations and good times this year. And then everything else kind of decreased, and especially personal and spiritual and personal growth, I felt were the ones that decreased the most for me based on how I felt. And I don't think that should come as any surprise given my goals and just kind of given where my headspace was at for a lot of the year and just kind of reflecting back on that. So that was kind of the sum up of that. On this other reflections page, which again, I'll pop a picture up of, the 3 words, I have it open on my iPad and I'm glancing over to read it. The 3 words that I used to describe 2024 were new, uneven, and busy. I really feel like the year was very uneven, very out of balance, but I also felt like there was a lot of new stuff going on in my business, but I also feel like we're really coming into like transitioning into this like new season of life with the kids as they're getting older, and we don't have any we definitely don't have any babies, but we don't really have any toddlers anymore. I don't have any kids in diapers. I don't have any kids that nap during the day anymore. The kids are getting older. I have 2 elementary schoolers, and my youngest is in pre-K, so she'll be in elementary school next year. Going into the year, I didn't really feel like we were in a transitionary period with the kids, but it really just like came out of nowhere, and like all of a sudden, like I said, a lot of our favorite activities are getting to be a little too little kitty and not as appealing as they used to be. And I feel like we're kind of needing some more transitional things for the kids as they get older. The 3 words that describe how I felt in 2024, I said unmotivated, behind, and frustrated. And that is not a good way to feel for the year. I'm not happy with the year overall, even though like I'm so glad I did this reflections process because I feel like I was so down on the year, and it was really, really empowering, and it made me feel really good to like reflect back on the wins and the highlights and do the gratitude sheet in here and think about all of the things that did go well in what I felt was like a very hard and emotionally trying year. That had a lot of power and has really helped motivate me for going into 2025. The 3 words that I said for how I want to feel in 2025 are enthusiastic, helpful, and organized. And I really I feel so good about those 3 words. And I feel like I'm starting to come back into myself, but that is really how I want to feel. All right, so the next page here has like the no list and the yes list, what personal needs you're going to focus on for the coming year. And then it said your top 5 values coming into 2025. I'm not going to read like this whole list. I will put the spread up so you can see it and you can pause it and read it if you want. My yeses and no's should be fairly obvious from the goal stuff that I have already wrote, right? Like the personal needs that I'm prioritizing. And I wrote, I will strive to live a more balanced life and find more balance. I will create more balanced schedule between work projects as much as possible by not procrastinating so that I don't burn out. I'll strive for a mix of work, kids, admin, and personal time each week so things get done and I am happy. And I feel like that needs a little bit of editing, wordsmithing, but I'm not too concerned about how things are written in my reflections notebook. But anyway, that is overall just like the energy that I'm trying to bring into 2025. And I think you might be able to guess what my word of the year is going to be. All right, so I just had to go referee a little fight, and which I will not do for television. So the kids have just been given a last warning, meaning that this may come to an end if they continue to fight, because if you're going to fight and scream while you're watching TV, then the TV is going off, because I can referee fight from up here much easier than I can from the basement. And if you're not even going to enjoy watching TV, then we could do something else. But anyway, the last thing on this page that I wanted to talk about was the personal values for 2025. So this is really interesting, not something I'd really ever thought about before this year in MakseLife, but this was also in the annual goals toolkit, and I actually filled out this sheet in my annual goals toolkit today. But my 5 values are family, fidelity, then certainty, financial stability, and accountability. So those were my 5 words of the year, my 5 values, and you'll see them in my next video, kind of like what they mean to me in that section where I'm filling out the annual goals toolkit. All right, dinner is all ready for the kids to come and grab their plates and take it over to the table. Dinner is all done. Kids are all washed and ready for bed, and it's time for some reading. We've been reading this Impossible Creatures, which is just so good. I honestly love it, and the kids really like it too. All right, so the kids are all in bed. I've got some more hot water, ready to do a little bit more wrapping and finish up with these reflections. So the next page up is wins, so I will put that on the screen as well. So I had a lot of business wins for this year, obviously. Category, this whole house declutter, definitely counting that as a win. I also put in our travel wins. We had a couple of really great trips this year that I've already mentioned. I served as the treasurer for our PTO organization again. I put that on my wins list. And the other really, really big one was my daughter's first summer at camp, which she also put on a highlight for her year, which I think just makes me feel really, really good about the whole thing. And I'm really glad that she's getting to experience that. Next, highlights, pretty much everything that I put on my wins. Almost all of that stuff was on my highlights list as well. And then in addition to that, I had some more trips. I listed out all of our vacations individually here, including the 2 big trips we took to Turks and Caicos and also to Disney World. We also had a family trip, and by that I do mean my whole extended family as well. So also with my parents and with my brother and his family, we took a trip to Florida for a cousin's bar mitzvah, and that was really fun. In general, we just had a ton of cousin fun all year long, and I'm very happy that the kids have just really been enjoying that their whole lives. Really, we're so lucky, and they're so lucky. We have so many cousins, and they have so many cousins they're a similar age to them that they can play with, and we see quite a bit. So that was definitely a highlight of the year. We went to the zoo an absolute ton this year. I really enjoyed that while the weather was warm. Oh, and then the last thing that I wanted to mention that was definitely really not a lot of work on my part, was definitely a highlight though, is I got LASIK this summer. I have worn glasses or contacts really full time since I was, 11, 10, really young. And now I have better than 20/20 vision, and it's just been incredible. I had such a good experience. It was really easy to get done. The worst part was having to wear glasses for 2 weeks before I had the surgery, but yeah, it's been so great. So that was definitely a highlight of the year as well. So the next page was about the challenges that I faced this year, and I'm actually not going to put this one up on the screen. I just did this as a full on, I just wrote the whole page, just regular journaling prompt style, and I wrote about a lot of the challenges that I already talked about, which again, I feel that, I am willing to give myself some grace. It's feeling throughout the year, but I do really feel that a lot of my challenges were internally driven, and that I contributed to my own problems a great amount this year. And the amount of procrastination and avoidance while I was busy at work just really caused a lot of stress in my life that definitely could have been avoided by better managing my time. Then the next one is on lessons. I'm also not going to put this one on the screen. I kind of just expanded on the things that I wrote and challenges, and just, wrote some lesson learns to myself. about how I'm feeling now, looking back on the year, and just kind of some really big takeaways that are things that I've already mentioned about the procrastination, the avoidance, all of that kind of stuff. So I did really kind of focus on that. My only other lesson that I did include here was just like, remember to yourself, everything you do, like time is not an infinite resource, right? And your energy is not an infinite resource. And if you're really focused in on one life area, that's of course going to come somewhat at the expense of other life areas, or if you don't handle things well, a lot at the expense of other life areas, right? Like I grew my business a lot, but it definitely had a cost on the rest of my life. Then the next one was specifically about growth, and I used this section of the journal to just really give myself a pat on the back for my business growth. That the next prompt that comes up is gratitude. And this one, I also just did like a full on journaling spread. I'm always grateful for so much. I really do love my life, and I think I have. I've been so fortunate, and I feel like also I do a pretty good job at, you know, expressing my gratitude and being grateful and being mindful of how wonderful my life is throughout the year. So I decided to do in here pretty much just like a love letter to my husband that he will never read. And I'm not going to share it either, but just I am incredibly grateful for him. He's such a wonderful husband and such a wonderful father and partner. And he was really able to kind of pick up the slack where I needed to him this year and help me make sure that things didn't completely fall apart when I was super busy with work or when I was just not feeling my best. So I'm just tremendously grateful for him. So the next two are the what's working and the what's not working. And I am going to put both of these up on the screen. I just kind of used like the sticky notes from the sticker kit and just made this made this a list. At this point, I was starting to feel like a little bit reflected out in the process. I felt like I put so much into all of the pages and that I had really already kind of expressed, at least to myself, what was working and what wasn't working in my life. And I didn't feel like I started to feel like it was getting a little bit redundant and not super productive. But I really, really just wanted to finish the full book this year. I don't think I finished it last year. I did like most of it, but I did like have some that I skipped or kind of skimped on. So this one I did kind of, skimp on a little, I'll say. And next is up after the working and not working is the impact statement. And I really like what I wrote here. So this one I am actually just going to share, and I'm going to read it to you here. It says and I put it up on the screen, but I do really, really like what I wrote for this one. I do really like what I wrote for this one. I wrote, in 2025, I want people to see my enthusiastic, organized, and happy self that I've spent my whole adult life working to be. I want that joy and focus to permeate into my everyday life and to be noticeable to the people around me. I want to be a fun source of inspiration for the planner community and on social media. I want to be a good mom and a resource for my kids when they're struggling. I want them to know that they can come to me with anything, but also that I won't let them just run wild. I want to be a true partner to my wonderful husband and continue building our life together. I want to be a good friend and an active community member, and I want to be dependable, meet deadlines, even the self-imposed ones. So that is my impact statement. I'm really proud of that one, and again, I do feel just really, really good about that. And then for the adjustments, I got to this page and I was just like, no, I don't want to talk about adjusting things from this year for next year. I really want 2025 to feel like a start fresh. I was very journaled out at this point, but also I want to feel like 2025 is like a brand new year and a real fresh start. So I just made this little page here and I put on the sticky note from one of the old digital sticker kits. It's also what's on my sweatshirt. And if you don't know, it's absolutely 100% my favorite Moxieism, my favorite Moxie saying. So just begin. That's what 2025 is for me. It is a fresh start and I am so ready to just begin. And that is really the energy that I'm bringing to the year, just all the newness, fresh start, just begin. And that is where my headspace is at right now and what I want to carry forward into January with me. Then there is one last page in the reflections notebook, and that is the letter to yourself. And every year since they've started the reflections notebook, I've always done this after writing my goals instead of doing it before my goals. There's a lot of reflecting, as I just mentioned, in this book. And by the end, I'm like, okay, I can't really say any more about the year, which is kind of how I feel, one, with everything I've written, but also two, about this video. I've said everything that I need to say. I've thought everything that I need to think about the year, and the letter to myself, I really want that to be like more forward looking. So that is it for this video and for my 2024 reflections. I hope you enjoyed spending the day with me. A very, very productive day, getting to see everything that I did all day and hearing about my year. Let me know how your 2024 went in the comments below. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling ready to go into 2025? Have you started working on your goals yet? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Stay tuned, because my next video up after this is going to be part 1 in my goal setting series, and then my part 2 will be up right after that. So we're ending the year with a bang. Reflections, goal setting. I'm so excited to dive into 2025. If you want my physical copy of the Reflections notebook, let me know in the comments down below. You can see the video description for more of that. I would really love to send this physical copy of the Reflections book to one of you who really feels like they want to use it. But that is all for today. So happy planning, happy goal setting, happy holiday season. Thanks so much for coming along with me today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.